Okay, this is day 4. I'm going to go ahead and raise chemicals up today. The pool is going to be as dark as it's going to get right now. No more plaster dust at all. You can also feel the edge of the pool. See if it's slimy or not to the touch, so you know it's ready. The plaster is really smooth right now. So it's ready to be brought up to 7.2 or so at the pH level. And I'll try to bring the alkalinity up to about 60 to 80. Add 5 drops. It's going to be pretty low, obviously. There we go. I'm going to add the R6 here. I'm going to count each drop until it gets to the desired pH color. Four. 24, getting something now, 7.0, 25. Cap it. 25 drops to get a 7.2. So basically, since the base demand test isn't giving me an accurate reading, I'm just going to add enough soda ash to bring the alkalinity up to about 50 or 60 parts per million. So every 1.5 ounces of the soda ash will raise the alkalinity 1 parts per million in 10,000 gallons of water. So I'll calculate how much I need to add to bring the alkalinity up to about 60. Then I'll go ahead and switch over to the borax here. Okay, so I'm going to add about 5 pounds of the soda ash. That'll get the alkalinity up to about 50 or 60 parts per million. And from there I'll switch over to the borax and raise the rest of the pH up 7.2 to 7.4. With water. Mix that up a little bit, pour it in around the perimeter of the pool. And now I'm going to brush the pool up really good. Circulate that soda ash around. I'll retest, see what I'm at as far as pH and alkalinity. Okay, so that was an initial dose of 5 pounds of the soda ash. I'll be back and I'm going to retest it in about 4 or 5 hours to see how it is. Back about 4 hours later. Let me see what the pH reading is now. Low. I'm going to go ahead and do an alkalinity test here. See what the alkalinity is at. The alkalinity is at 50. After the 5 pounds of soda ash, I have some numbers that I can actually plug into the pool calculator. 13,500 gallons. The pH is about 6.0, I'm going to say. And so alkalinity was at 50. And so I'm going to add the borax. I'm going to add 339 ounces, which is about 21 pounds. I'm not exactly sure. The pH is at 6.0. Could be just slightly higher. If it's 6.2, let's say, then you would have to add 16 pounds of the borax. It's kind of hard to tell because it's still low, still under 7.0. I'm going to go with this anywhere from 6.0 to 6.2 as a number here. So I'm going to add 16 pounds of the borax and that should do the trick here. Okay, I'm going to add at least 4 boxes of the Mule Team borax here. This is about half the density as soda ash, so I'm going to need to add twice the weight. So I'm going to add 1 box at a time. After I add each box, I'm going to go ahead and take a reading, see how much the pH went up, and that'll determine how much of the borax to add. But I'm assuming I'm going to have to add about 16 pounds of the borax to raise it up to a level that I can turn the pool on with. So the borax is good. It'll raise the pH without raising the alkalinity too much. It's probably going to go up slightly when I add the borax, but not a whole bunch. Of the borax. It's not an exact science, but you can get the pH up to 7.2 so you can start the system. Again, I just used some soda ash to begin with to raise the alkalinity up to 60, and then I switch over to the borax to finish raising the pH up to about 7.2. Okay, I'm going to do a final check of the pH before I start everything up. I think the last box of borax did it here. Get a white background here. Looks like I'm at 7.2. So the pH is back to where it needs to be to start the system. Okay, usually they'll drain everything out of the pipes too. They took the plugs off the pump, so I'm going to put the plugs in and turn everything back on. This pump has a couple of plugs, I'm not sure why, but let me get both of them in. Okay, filling the pump up with water. It's important to get everything running once you have the pH and alkalinity in balance. I'm going to remove the off tripper and run the pool for 24 hours right now. Turn everything back on. I'll leave the pool and spotlight off for now. So if the system doesn't start immediately, get someone out here to service it right away. You want it running as soon as everything is balanced. It's critical. Okay, so the pH is back in range, about 7.2 roughly. Everything is running. I'm going to have everything run for at least 24 to 48 hours. I'm going to have it run for 12 hours a day. I'm going to go ahead and add the Butec to the pool now that it's circulating. Butec will help with any kind of plaster dust that may reform on it. And I'm going to add the Scale Tech. It's a descaler also. It also is a stain preventer. So it's a little bit like the Jack's Magic where it'll prevent any kind of metal staining in the pool. I'll add the whole bottle. So it's not a requirement to add the Scale Tech and Butec, but it's a good idea to add it to your pool after you start it up. Prevent staining and prevent further scaling by the plaster dust. Okay, so that's a successful startup process. Reversing the acid startup, bringing the alkalinity up and the pH back up, having the system running. Everything is checking out good here. So I'm going to let it run without chlorine for 3 more days. I'm going to add the liquid instant conditioner in 3 days from now and bring the chlorine up to 1 parts per million. And we'll try to keep it at that for at least a week or 2. And you can see with the sun setting, with no reflection here, the plaster is looking really good. It's all one solid color. The startup process is very successful in keeping any kind of staining or discoloration from forming on this particular plaster. It's really good.